Hi, I'm Kevin Reese with Sightmark. We're talking about zero stops today. I'm working with the Sightmark Pinnacle 3-18x44, and one of the most complicated issues people run into is setting zero stop from the beginning. One of two things are going to happen. You'll either have enough adjustment to get on paper when you start zeroing, or you'll run out of adjustment. With setting zero stop, I'm actually going to start out with what happens if you run out of adjustment while you're trying to come down into center mass. So let's start there, and we'll segue right into actually setting the zero stop and getting on target and running out long. So I'm out of adjustment. I'm just trying to zero at 100 yards. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this handy dandy Allen wrench that comes with the Riflescope, and I'm going to loosen the turret cap. There's actually 3 set screws in here. I'm just going to loosen them up, and I'm going to pull this turret cap off straight up. Anytime I'm messing with the turret cap and taking it off, I want to lift it straight up and trying not to adjust the click that it's on. I might have to loosen a little bit more. It's not so important that it moves right now because you're already bottomed out, but if you're actually setting your zero stop where you have some adjustment on both sides, then you want to make sure you don't actually turn that turret while you're popping that cap off. Now that I've got that cap off, I expose the zero stop ring, and there's 3 set screws in the zero stop ring again. And I'm going to go ahead and loosen these. When I do that, it actually loosens the zero stop ring. I can move it up and down. I could actually take it off if I wanted to. But what I'm going to do to get that extra travel, that extra adjustment that I need, so that I can continue to move my point of impact down to where it needs to be on paper, is I'm going to raise that zero stop ring up, and then I'm going to tighten these screws down again. Tighten that cap down. So now that I've raised that zero stop ring, now I've got the travel that I need to go ahead and move that point of impact lower until I'm right where I need to be. This is the beginning of setting zero stop. If you've already got the adjustment when you first get on the target, you don't need to do that step. But once you get to this point, everybody needs to stop and get ready to set that zero stop. So we're going to do that now. So now we're going to pretend like we hit paper from the beginning, and so from this point on, 100% of you out there should set the zero stop in the Sightmark Pinnacle just like this. We're going to take this Allen wrench again, and we're going to loosen these set screws, the turret cap, and we're going to pull that cap back off. There we go. All right, now we're setting the zero stop ring. The most important part of this process, I'm going to loosen these screws again, and I'm going to do 2 things with the zero stop ring. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it all the way to the bottom, and then I'm going to rotate it clockwise until it stops. I can feel it stop right there. Once it stops, I'm going to tighten those screws again. All right, so we have that set. Now I'm going to take this turret cap and I'm going to place it back on the turret, except this time I'm going to face the zero exactly back towards me, lined up with that registration line. There's a register at the back of the turret so that you know exactly what click you're on when you're making adjustments. It needs to be right on zero. You're going to hold it tight so it doesn't move and retighten those screws. I like to back off just a hair just to double check and make sure I'm still on zero, and then watch it as I tighten. Alright, so now the zero stop is set in your elevation, so no matter where you are, you can run it all the way out, don't even have to look at it. and then run it back, hit 0, and you should be right on 100. If I'm going to shoot at 1,000 yards and I'm running it out to 9.4, I don't have to count clicks, I just run it out to 9.4. And then if I know that I'm going to run 3 at 600, turn it back to 3. I should be hitting steel at 600 and go back to 100, just drop it back down to 0. It should be right there every time. The next part of setting 0 stop though is setting your windage. You've set your elevation, now it's time to set your windage. The windage is a little bit easier because you have adjustments both ways. There's not a 0 stop in there that's going to force you to stop making adjustments in your windage. So all we're going to do is we're going to loosen up the set screws on the windage turret cap, and we're just going to turn this turret. There's no clicks, the cap is loose. I'm going to turn it until it's precisely at 0, and it'll be up to me to remember if I'm going left or right, depending on spin drift, wind, and some other factors. So I'm going to make sure it's perfectly lined up with 0 and tighten that screw. That's all there is to it. That's setting your 0 stop and actually your 0 on your windage for a Sightmark Pinnacle 3-18x44. Hope you enjoyed that. If you'd like to learn more about Sightmark, visit www.sightmark.com. Thank you.